Hi there and welcome back to my channel. This is Sean, the Honest Book Reviewer. This video is my top 20 books for 2023. I'll list them from number 20 to number 1. Let's start now. Salt and Skin, written by Eliza Henry Jones. Now this book is so well written. It's not just written, it feels like it's painted. The descriptions in this book, the settings, the scenery, everything about it just feels like you're witnessing a painting happen. It's described so well. It's set in the Scottish Isles. That setting is brilliant. The people in this book, the locals who live on the island, and the main characters who move to the island, they're all brilliantly told. They're all so different. The locals feel like they're local. The new characters feel like they're incomers. There's tension, there's suspense, there's intrigue, there's a mystery, there's a fantasy element going on as well. There's just human interactions in this story that feel so real and genuine. Everything in this story is special. I enjoyed this a lot. I didn't know what to expect with this book when I read it. I didn't know anything about the book at all. But I'm so glad I read it. It's so well told, it's so well structured, it's so vivid in imagery. It's just a brilliant book in my view. Deserves to be read by more people. Home Before Dark, written by Riley Sager. This book is so well done. It's gothic in feel. It's like a horror slash thriller slash mystery. There's so many things going on in this story. It's so well told. The descriptions, the atmosphere, the characters, the tension, suspense, all well done in this story. It even has elements in there that I don't usually like in books. So there's a past narrative in this story, and the past narrative is all based on this fictional book that's written by one of the characters in this story. And I don't usually like things like that in books, but in this book it works. It gives us an insight into that character who's no longer with us in the present day narrative. So for that, I liked it, and I just like the way it was told. That past narrative, those sections of books, is done so well in this story. And the mystery element in this present day narrative is so well done. It's set in a gothic atmosphere type setting. It's just well done with the characters. Everything in this book is just gripping and engaging. I recommend this a lot. The Neighbour by Fiona Cummins. There's so much to like about this book. So the setting. It's set in a small part of a neighbourhood, and behind these houses is this green wooded area. And in that area, bodies are found, victims of a serial killer. So we have people living in an area where there's a serial killer on the loose. Not only that, all the characters in this neighbourhood, in this small part of the neighbourhood, they seem to watch each other, and they all have secrets of their own. But then there's this one voice who's like a watcher of all people in this area. And this one voice who's a watcher is also the culprit. But this culprit voice is genderless. We don't know if it's male or female, we don't know who it is. It's so cleverly done in this story. I like this book a lot. I like the mystery. It's so engaging. The characters all feel so real. All the characters do, even the children characters, they all feel real. Everything about this book is very special. Death of a Traitor by R.W. Green and M.C. Beaton. I like this a lot. It's a Hamish Macbeth book. It feels like Hamish Macbeth of old. The mystery is good. The writing's good. The characters are good. It's very gripping. It returns Hamish to his old self. He feels very lifelike in this story. The whole concept of this book, the structure, is well done. I found it so gripping and engaging. I read this book very quickly. It's one of those books where you just want to read it and get through it so quickly. You want to find out what happens next. It makes you also want more books in this series. And this series is so long running. There's over 30 books in this series. I think this is book 35 or 36. There's so much to like in this story. We also get to reconnect with characters, regular characters and recurring characters who are in other books, and some characters we may not have connected with for some time in this series. That's like a walk down memory lane for me when I read this, and it was so comforting, like meeting old friends or family after a long time. It's very well done. I enjoyed this. Again, though, if you want to read this series, start from the very start, because there's storylines and character arcs and all things that play out all through the series, and the characters make more sense when you read from the first books. But a very good book in this series. I enjoyed this a lot. Q is for Corey, written by Sue Grafton. This is a cold case mystery. The mystery is so well done. We have Kinsey Malone, of course, who's the main character in this series. But in this book, we have two other characters that play a big part. And they're so well done in this story. The three characters together just interact so well in this book. And the mystery is very clever. It's very strong. I love everything about this story. I like the mystery. I like the characters in this book. I like the way it all plays out. And the concept of this book is interesting. So, Sue Grafton got the idea from just a conversation she had with somebody. And she learned about this cold case. And one of the only clues, was a piece of jawbone. And this case dated back to like the 60s or something. And she thought it was very interesting. And she thought that it's kind of unfair that this person who was murdered has never been known. Now, no one knows who it was. So she decided to write a book about it. And she thought with the publicity of the book, and also they got somebody to craft like a sculpture of this person's face, what they thought this person looked like. They thought with that and the book, it would just gain traction with people, and somebody might come forward with information on this old case. Interesting to know that that's how this whole book came about. To Die For, written by Lisa Gray. This book is so clever. At the very start, we have a crime scene. We have a victim, and the victim is discovered at a party. It's like a party for a house. A house is going on sale, and they have this kind of get-together at this house to try to attract customers. But during this get-together, we have a victim being found in a pool. We don't know who the victim is. We don't know who the culprit is. And then we jump back a few weeks in time, and we have all these people who are working in a real estate company, and they're being told they're all trying to sell the same house. Whoever sells the house gets a bonus of $1 million. So then we're wondering, is this big bonus the reason for this murder? And then we're wondering who amongst all these people is the victim and who's the culprit. It's so cleverly done because we don't know who the victim or the culprit is until the very end. But we know that it's somebody in this group. Very clever, very sleek. The characters are all engaging, very fast paced. I loved everything about this story. Little Eve, written by Catriona Ward. It's a gothic, dark horror. There's mystery in there as well. It's so well written, so well structured. It's centered around this family group, and then we find out they're not a family at all. It's like a cult. This guy adopts these children. He adopts them as babies, and he adopts all female babies. He adopts a male baby by accident, and then he decides to keep that male baby because of an accident he can't give it back. But the rest of them are females. We find out why that is. But this is such a dark gothic horror. There are things in here that are challenging, things that are shocking, but then we have this mystery that plays out as well. And the mystery is very twisty. The mystery is engaging. The mystery is very dark as well. But the mystery will suck you in. But I just love so much about this story. It will grab you from the very first scene. The very first scene is one of the most shocking scenes in this story. If you can get through that, you'll get through the rest of the story. But this is very well written, very atmospheric, very textural. I mean, you can kind of feel and touch certain scenes in this story. That's how well they are written. I really enjoyed this book a lot. The Travelling Cat Chronicles, written by Hiro Arakawa. I really enjoyed this book. It's very light-hearted, it's very emotional, but it's also a big journey. So essentially it's about connection between humans and humans, humans and animals, connection between the past and the present. It's just all about connection and all about how certain connections can survive over time. I just love the concept of this book. I love the scenery, the settings, I love the characters. There's a lot to like in this story. As I said, it's very emotional, But if you're a cat lover, if you like cats, if you like animals in general, I think you'll like this book. Prince of Thorns, written by Mark Lawrence. This book is just amazing in my view. It's grimdark fantasy, and grimdark fantasy is fantasy that's very dark in nature, with dark themes, with violence, with gore, very dark in nature, and sometimes people can't handle that in grimdark fantasy. Doesn't interest you, don't read this book. But the reason this book is so engaging is for the main character. The main character is both unlikable and vile, but also engaging and likable. It's a very strange mix, but he's very interesting and cleverly written. Just the way he plays out in the story is just so cleverly done. It's very hard to explain this main character. So he is a sociopath, he's dangerous, he's violent, he's vile, he's unlikable, he does horrible things. But also you understand everything about him and understand why he's like that. You feel empathy for him, and you feel like you like him sometimes as well. That's the whole thing about this book. If the main character was not written like that, this book would fail. But other than the main character, the settings are very good. Other characters are very good. There's other themes in this story that are playing out as well. It is the first book in a trilogy, so some of those themes play out in future books in the series. But a very good book, very gripping and very engaging. Peter King Hanging Rock, written by Joan Lindsay. This book is so many things. It's gothic, it's a mystery, it's general fiction, it's atmospheric, it's historical fiction. It's so many things in this story. It's also a drama. It's also, in some ways, an action as well. There are certain action things going on in this story. There's some adventure things going on here as well. But with the mystery, it's open-ended. It's all about connections as well. Towards the start of this book, we have the disappearance of a few students and a teacher from a school picnic at Hanging Rock. From that moment on, it's like a spider web. These threads of fate, they kind of interact with other characters. Some characters are directly related to the school, some are not. But each of these characters, their fate changes. Sometimes for the bad, sometimes for the good, but their fate changes, and it can't be changed back. It's almost like a ripple in time in some ways as well. There are many themes in this book, many concepts, very twisty and turny. There are surprises in there as well. The characters are well written. They all feel real. There are characters there that suit certain themes. There are characters that drive certain themes. There's so much going on in this story. It's a very short book, I think. Won't take you long to read, but there's so much going on. It's so engaging. I think you'll enjoy it. I think everybody should read this book at least once. Wake by Shelley Burr. This is a cold case mystery set in Outback Australia. The setting is brilliant. The characters are brilliant. The mystery is brilliant. Everything about this story is so well done. I enjoyed this so much. There's so many layers going on in this story. There's secrets, there's intrigue, there's suspense, there's tension. It's also quite slow burn. So to have all that going on in a slow burn mystery is well done indeed. There's one character in this story, a PI character. He's very intriguing because he has this secret in his past, and his past secret is tied into this cold case. It's one of the reasons he wants to investigate the cold case in the first place. But solving the cold case may mean ruining part of his family as well. So that plays out in the story, and I like that as well. Adds a different element to the story. It just seems like this was so well thought out and so well planned. I love the setting. You feel like you're transported there. I love the mystery. I love everything about this story. Agatha Raisin and the Case of the Curious Curate, written by MC Beaton. A cozy mystery in a long-running series, but one of the best cozy mysteries I've read this year. I enjoyed this a lot. There's so much going on in this story, but what makes it interesting is character growth. There's character growth for Agatha Raisin, the protagonist, and also for a recurring character who's the vicar's wife. Both these characters show sides we haven't seen before. In Agatha, we get like a charitable side in this book. She starts thinking about other people in the area. She wants to start these charities and these groups for elderly people in the area to help them. That's a good thing. Also with the vicar's wife, we see a bit of a backbone, like a fire igniting her, because her husband is a suspect in a murder. And so when she's usually in a corner being meek and mild, she's not in this story. She's very forthright. She's very just not aggressive, but assertive. So a complete change in character. And I like that in this story. It just shows the author was giving depth to characters in this series. This series can be tongue-in-cheek, can be lighthearted and fun, can be a bit outrageous, but to see when characters develop in certain ways like this, more serious ways, very good indeed. One of the best reasons why I like this book in this series. The Winter People, written by Jennifer McMahon. It's a gothic-style mystery horror. I like this a lot. There is a past and present timeline. For me, the past timeline is very gripping indeed. A lot goes on in there, and there's things that go on in the past timeline that answer questions in the present timeline. And I like the way that both interact. The way they play out in this story, you don't learn everything at once. You learn bits and pieces as you go along. Little things you learn in the past timeline later on in the story answer questions in the present timeline, and vice versa sometimes. I love all the characters in this story. The characters feel real. They feel genuine. Even the characters who are a bit younger feel real and genuine. This story really stands out as a really gripping example of a good gothic mystery and horror. Just the way everything plays out, the way the elements play out, the scenery, the atmosphere, the way characters react in this story. I always think that in Gothic style stories, character reactions play a big part, and the character reactions in this story feel very genuine and they just feel very sincere as well. I like this story a lot, recommend it. If you want to start reading Jennifer McMahon, start with this book. Dead of Winter, written by Darcy Coates. My first time reading this author, and I love this story. It's a murder mystery, but it's very gripping and chilling, and it's set in a small footprint. One of the best things about this book is the small footprint, the small setting. We have all these strangers, well, not all strangers, some of them know each other, but not many. They're stranded in a blizzard in this small cabin, and then one by one, they're dying, being murdered. Nobody knows by whom. Nobody knows if it's a stranger or somebody in their group. That just drives all this tension, suspense, all this anxiety as well in the book, the atmosphere. It's so well done. I love this book so much. This book makes me want to read more by the same author. The first time I read this author, but now I want to read everything this author writes. This book is just so gripping, that whole atmosphere built around this small setting where people don't know what's going on. Even our main character is a suspect in this book, other people's eyes. When you have that going on in the story, and it's done so convincingly, it just adds so much to the story. The Mystery Guest, written by Nita Prose. I really enjoyed this book. It's the second book to feature Molly the Maid. The first book was called The Maid. This book is also set in the same hotel. It has some of the same characters and some new characters, but it's such a clever mystery. It comes across more like a cozy mystery than anything else, but I like that. I like the way it all plays out, and I like the character Molly. She's grown so much since book 1, and this book is set 3 years after book 1. Very clever to do that because it gives time for the character to develop off narrative, and she has. She's more confident. She's now head maid, not just a maid in the hotel, but head maid. But the fact that she has this confidence now to be involved in this crime, she understands things a bit better now as well. She's not so easy to have people take advantage of her that she was in book 1. So her development is so strong and so convincing in this book. The mystery is clever. The setting is so well described. We get to see little bits and pieces of the hotel we didn't see in book 1. And other characters in this story recurring from book 1, and also new characters are also very well described and well created. A very clever and very smart mystery. How to Be Eaten, written by Maria Edelman. It's very hard to box this into a genre. It's part fantasy, part mystery, part thriller, part general fiction. It's part everything, it seems, in this story. Basically, it's about this group of women. They're all invited to come to a therapy session as a group. And they're all invited because they survived something. But the things they survive are all linked to fairy tales or myths. So we have one that's linked to Cinderella. We have one that's linked to Little Red Riding Hood. We have one linked to Bluebeard. We have all these stories that are from fiction that become real in this story. Very cleverly done. And the best thing about this is each of the main characters feels unique. They have different voices. They have different ways of carrying themselves, different ways of talking. They all just feel so different in the story. And I like that. I like the way they're all created because we're all different in a way. And I just like the way the authors captured these differences and made each of them stand out so much in this book. Very clever. There's a mystery in there as well. I won't tell you what that is, but I just like the way this whole thing is structured. There are chapters where each woman gets to tell their story. And when they're telling their story, other women interrupt them. And when they interrupt, they react in different ways as well. And that's clever as well because every reaction feels unique to that character. Very clever story, very well written. I think more people should read this. Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. This book is brilliant. It's a murder mystery in a very small footprint in a house. It kind of almost feels like a locked room mystery. It's not really, because the room's not locked, but it's just so cleverly done. This will keep you guessing. It kept me guessing all the way through the story. It's very suspenseful, very atmospheric, feels a little bit gothic as well, but it's the characters that make this. Not just the mystery, but the characters. The characters feel so real and genuine. Their reactions, the way they interact with each other, the way they interact with their environment. Everything about that feels so well done. It's very creative. Everything about this book is almost brilliant. I just really enjoy this story. Holly by Stephen King. I loved everything about this book. It's no secret I love Holly as a character. One of the best characters Stephen King's ever written. In this book, she's brilliant. In my view, Holly suits books where there's no paranormal things going on, nothing supernatural. And this book, there's not. It's just a classic detective mystery story. Holly's trying to solve a case, the case of a missing girl. And she gets embroiled in this whole storyline with these really creepy villains. And the villains in this story are very creepy indeed. Some of the best villains King's written in modern times. I really enjoy them in this story. They're very engaging. For villains, they're just likable in some ways. Of course, they're vile in other ways. The things they do are very sinister, very awful. But they're also very engaging, and in some ways you feel a bit of empathy for them, just the way they're written. It's very cleverly done as well. I like the whole storyline. I like the way it brings other characters into this book as well that Holly's known when we first meet Holly. I really enjoy that because those other characters have storylines of their own. It's interesting the way that their storylines aren't directly linked with Holly's case. So very well done because it just feels like real life. Because these other people have things going on in their lives and they just come and interact with Holly at certain times in the story. So this book just feels very real because of that. A brilliant book in my view. Definitely one of the best books this year. Mr. Mercedes, written by Stephen King. This book is just brilliant. Two things stand out about this book. The three main characters, Bill Hodges, Holly, and Brady, the villain. All three characters are brilliant. All written so well. They all feel so real. They're all engaging for different reasons, but they're great characters in my view. The second thing is the cat and mouse game between Bill Hodges and Brady. It's so well done. It builds up as the book goes on and doesn't let go. In many books like this, that tension and suspense drops off sometimes as the pace changes. Sometimes the author just lets that go when they change scenes and settings sometimes, but in this book it doesn't. That tension suspense keeps building up and building up right to the very end. So well done in my view. This feels like a book where Stephen King plotted and planned the story. And I know he usually doesn't. Well, we all know that Stephen King usually just writes a story. He writes it off the cuff. He has an idea in his mind and he writes the story and sees where it goes. In this book, it feels like it's planned and plotted very carefully. Everything makes sense. The tension and suspense, that cat and mouse game, like I said, is brilliant. The characters are brilliant. I just love this book. Look Closer by David Ellis. Hands down, the best book I read in 2023. I don't know why more people aren't talking about this book. We have 4 characters who are all unlikable for certain things in the story, but they're also engaging, and they're also likable for certain things as well. You can't help but be engaged with the characters, and each character is trying to do something to kind of swindle or outclass or beat other characters in the story. We have twists and turns, surprises going right through this story. We have a murder mystery. We have detectives that feel real. The police work they do feels so real. Everything in this story feels real. There are things in this book that are a bit over the top, but they do feel real in this book. The characters are designed to be just real in my view. They feel so lifelike. They feel so well-rounded. They all have doubts. They all have fears. They're all confident in certain aspects. They just feel like real people in this story. Everything about this book is brilliant. I just love the whole concept. I love the structure. I love the way things play out in this book. Every twist and turn and surprise just feels like it makes sense and belongs in the story. Everything about this book is perfect. I recommend this book to anybody who likes a good mystery or thriller, just loves a good story. Just get out and read this story. It's brilliant. There you have my top 20 books for 2023. Let me know if you read any of these books and what you thought. Let me know if you want to read these books, because I think each of these books in this list is brilliant for different reasons. What books did you love in 2023? Let me know in the comments as well. I'm always on the lookout for recommendations. On my channel, I review books of all different genres. Check out my channel and subscribe. On the screen now is a link to a video for another book I'm sure you'll enjoy.